Welcome back. Okay, last video we made this pickup that disappears and reappears and lets the player run over it. Alright, so in this lesson we're going to make a model and it's going to be a sign where the text changes on the sign depending on what's going on in the game. So we will do it in here where we've got a pickup to work with that's working already. However, when we're finished our model, we will save that and bring it back into our camping project that we'll be starting very shortly. Right, so let's just find ourselves a little bit of space just in front of us here, and we're going to start by making a sign. Okay, so we want to have a sign post, and I think I will use a round one. You can use square if you like, however you want to make it. Start with a part like this, and we're going to rotate it around so it's upright, and then we'll bring it up out of the ground. And at the moment it's probably a little bit too big, so we'll reduce our size a bit and the height so it comes down, and that can be our sign post. So our sign post, I'm going to make it sort of a wooden type sign post, and let's say make the material out of wood. Couldn't say wood planks, but that's okay. Alright, so firstly we've made this part. Let's call it the post. And because we're making a model, even though there's only one part here and we can add more to it, let's right click on it now and we'll use group, and that changes to model. So you'll see the post is now inside of this. So we'll change this to say sign model, and that's what we're working with here. Right, so the next thing we want is up the top here, something where we can show some text. So we'll put another part in here and we'll just use a block. Alright, and we're going to make it quite thin. We'll make it a fairly high so that we've got room in here for our text, and let's change it to the same sort of colour, and we'll also make it wood as well. Alright, so how you go about building things, I might even make it a wood plank, let's say. Maybe we'll make the other one plank as well, just to stick with the theme. Alright, so we've made this part, and this is not the actual sign itself. We'll call this the backboard of the sign, and we want to move that inside of our model as well. Now before we continue, I'll just highlight these two and we'll change our anchor so they don't all fall to bits when people when the game runs. And now you can have the sign where people can actually run into it if you like. That can be a bit annoying, so we can just turn can collide off if you like, and players can run right through the sign even though they see it. So now we want to position our backboard on top of our sign there. So we'll just bring that forward and perhaps into the middle there. Right, now like I said, I'm not the best builder in the world, but the course is more about coding than it is about building. So we've got a basic sort of sign here, and we could make it with pointed ends on it and etc., but we'll leave it like this. So now we need a way to put text onto our backboard. So if we select our backboard and click here, we have some interfaces and things down here that we can use. Alright, so if we just scroll down here, you'll see we've got GUIs. Alright, so screen GUI appears on the screen. However, we want this to appear on the surface of this backboard, so we're going to click on screen surface GUI here. Alright, Now it can be a little bit hard to see this until we put something into it. Alright, so we'll click on the Surface GUI here again, and we're going to put what's called a frame in here first. Now a frame will appear as a white background, you'll see in a minute. So if we now just rotate around, here we go, we found the frame sitting on the back of here, and that's not what we want. We want it to be on the other side. So I could rotate the backboard. However, if we click on the Surface GUI here and come down to the face, alright, at the moment it's actually on the front. Let's change it to the back. And there we go. Alright, so now it's on this side of the backboard. Or we could have just flipped it around. Now we can see this frame. You can see that it's sitting sort of only taking up half of the area. We want it to take up the whole area of our backboard. So let's click on the frame, and down here where we have the size, you have X and Y coordinates. Alright, so offset refers to the actual pixels, etc., that is used for the box, so 100 by 100, that's why it's square. Scale, however, refers to, well, it's the Surface GUI is taking up all of this space here, so scale is like a percentage. So for instance, if we change this scale, we change the offset to 0 for a start, and so that's just shrunk right up. But the X, which is going acrossways, if we change that to 1, you'll notice that it takes up the entire spot here of the Surface GUI. Alright, and just to be consistent, we'll also do this with the Y-axis. So X is across, Y is down, and this is where it is sitting, so it's taking up the entire space on our board. Now we don't necessarily want this to be white, so what we can do is come back up to our background transparency, and we can set that to 1. So now our frame is there, but it's invisible. Alright, so we still don't have any text in there, so let's add some in now. We click on our plus of our frame, and we want to add a text label. Alright, and there it is, inside of our frame. Now this is the same thing. You may want to have more than one line or more than one text box in here, but we'll just work with the one that we've got at the moment. So if we click on our text label, let's come down and do the same thing that we did before, and we can play with this later to get it right. Okay, so you've got fonts and line heights and stuff. First of all though, we want to get the size. So at the moment it's 200 by 50. So let's just make it the same size as our frame by making our scale 1. And we'll change the offset to 0 and the scale to 1. And that now takes up the entire frame background. Next, our text, okay, or our background, we want to see the actual writing here, so let's change our background transparency to 1, and now our text has gone quite dark. Alright, so we want to change our text down the bottom here. So you can pick whichever font you like. I'm just going to pick the bold. And the color, because it's on a dark background, I think I'll change that over here. So we click on this and click on OK, and I think the size is too small at the moment, so let's try say 25, and let's leave it at 25. And because of whatever you're going to put on the board, we may need to play with that in the future. Alright, so here we have our sign model here, and because we put it in a model, I can now move everything around nicely and place it where I like. So let's code our sign now to be useful to us in the game. Alright, so at the moment the player is running over this, so let's put a message on our board here for a start. And if you come down to where the text was again, you'll see that text is saying label, saying and we'll say pick up the brick or whatever it is. Okay, so pick up the brick, and the text is a little bit out at the end, so if you wanted to bring your text down to say 20, there we go, that'll put it in the middle. So now what we'll do is we'll use our existing code to change this text label, okay, from our pickup that we had here before. So come into your pickup script, and now we want to access this label here. Alright, so we'll create a variable up the top here, local, and we'll call it sign, and now we want to find it. So we know that the sign is in the game and the workspace, and it's called sign model, but we want to get right down to the text label. Okay, so we want to go into the backboard, so dot backboard dot surface GUI dot frame dot text label. So we're right down to here. So that's what this variable is going to deal with here. Alright, down here, when we pick it up, we want to change that text. So we can use this sign up here, just below where it disappears, and we'll say sign, and the part that we want to change, or the property, okay, remember, is the text. So sign.text equals whatever we want to say in here, and we can say you got it when they pick it up, alright, or something like that. And if you want to go back to what it said afterwards, well, we can just copy and paste this down here and change it back to pick up the brick. Alright, and to see the effect a little bit better, let's change this to 5 seconds before it changes back. So let's save that and see how that runs. Right, so it's a little bit hard to see being small. Alright, so it says pick up the brick. Alright, and if I run over it, there you go, you got it. Alright, and the brick has still disappeared, and when it comes back, it changes the text back to pick up the brick. You got it. Okay, stays as you got it until it comes back, pick up the brick. Alright, so there we have a model that we have created. It has no code in it, but we're able to change it using the code in our pickup. So the very last thing that we want to do is we want to use this somewhere else. So remember I said we could save our models. So right click on your model, say save to file, and then find where your course, so I've got mine on my desktop here, basic course, and I had models here, remember, where I'll put a few things in there from earlier, but let's put in here sign model. Okay, make sure it says model files and click on save. And once you've got that in there, we are pretty well ready to start setting up for our camping project, and we'll be making some more models, but yeah, this one will be useful to us. Alright, I shall see you in the next section, and we shall get started on the camping project.